This video is being sponsored by Circle.
Circle is a live-action football sweepstake game where the winner is decided by what happens on the pitch.
The jackpot for this week's Shifter game is £300 with only £3 to enter, and you can join by using that QR code down below or that link in the description.
Another bonus is bet 5 to get 5, which means when you use our referral code, WeAreTottenhamTV, deposit and stake £5 on your first circle, you will get a free £5.
And please remember, you need to be over 18 and a UK resident to play. And also, please gamble responsibly. What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another predicted lineup video. We've got Brighton at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 3 o'clock kickoff tomorrow. Stellini has been talking in the press conference. He says no new injury updates, but a bloody long, extensive injury list. So let's go through it.
Yeah, we can add obviously Lucas Moura's suspension to the vast injury list that we have. Obviously Basuma, Bentancur, long-term injuries. They won't be back most likely this season. Although there was actually someone on Twitter who said he bumped into Basuma, and he said that Basuma said he's going to be fit next month. So we'll take that with a pinch of salt, but we'll see. Sessegnon, Emerson, Davis, all still out. Richarlison nearing a return, according to Stellini, but is going to be missing this one, but could be back for next week.
All right, so let's hope we do have players back. And seeing with all these injuries, the team kind of does pick itself at the moment with the formation that we do play. So let's just get straight into it. In goal, in a 3-4-3 formation, we are going to stick with Hugo Lloris. I mean, there's been a lot of people talking about Lloris after the last performance, after that draw with Everton. And yeah, I mean, he wasn't great with distribution, but I don't really get why people are saying like he was the reason we lost.
I don't think we didn't lose, we drew. I know it feels like a loss, but he wasn't great. I felt like coming for crosses, he was a bit shaky. I do think they probably made a mistake and they probably should have stuck with Forster, but when your captain's back available, I understand bringing him back in.
Probably wouldn't have made a difference.
I don't think it would have made a difference. I don't think it's his fault that we lost all composure in the final 20 minutes, although you could argue with him being our captain, it's his job to try and compose the team as well, which I guess you could argue.
That's another story.
But I wouldn't blame him for the draw. I don't think he could have done anything with the goal. But I would have played Forster, and I think it was a mistake. But I do think he comes into for this game, so hopefully he can be a bit better. And I do think it's a bit of a different game. They're not going to be as many crosses and set pieces, hopefully. So hopefully you have less to deal with from that front.
Yeah. Probably more to deal with in general, though.
But shot stopping, he's all right, so that's what he's going to deal with.
So Hugo in goal, right wing back. Pedro Porro is going to play there, seeing as we don't have any other fit right wing backs.
Yeah, and he's going to be up against Matoma. It's going to be a real battle in that area. Obviously, I'm assuming he's going to be penned back quite a bit because Matoma likes to play quite far forward. He likes to play on the outside as well. So he's going to have a big job on him. And the big thing about Porro is he going to be able to get forward while Matoma's kind of pinning him back, because you got Estepinian on the overlap as well, so he's going to have to watch him. So it's going to be a big day for Porro, and I just worry he's going to be penned back too much, and defensively that's not his biggest strengths. You want to see him more getting forward. Hopefully he can, but I'm worried about him getting pinned back.
Yeah, maybe it can leave a few gaps in behind for the likes of Porro if we can find an out ball. But in terms of the right centre back, is obviously going to be Cuti Romero. I'm expecting a few crunching early tackles on Mitoma from Romero early on. Yeah,
he's going to have to be on his game because Mitoma's such a tricky customer. We know how Romero likes to play. Obviously, Evan Ferguson as well, and is going to be in that area. McAllister as well is going to be floating around. So he's going to have a big job on him, and him being our most proactive defender, a lot relies on him to kind of win the ball back.
Yeah, absolutely. And alongside him in the middle, obviously, will be Eric Dyer.
And I'm a bit worried about him, as always am, but especially when we're getting pressed by this intense Brighton team who are full of energy at the moment. He showed against Everton that when you let him have the ball, he can be quite effective with his passing range, but as soon as you press him and make things uncomfortable for Dyer, more often than not, he could become a liability. So let's see how he gets on against Brighton.
I'm not too confident with Dyer coming up the likes of a pressing Brighton team, that's for sure. But to make up that back three on the left-hand side, we're going to see Clement Longley there.
Yeah, and again, another player who I don't think was brilliant against Everton, although there were some points where it was good. But again, he's going to have people running at him like Solly March on that side, who's really improved his form of late, and he's become quite a tricky customer. And he's one where if he does isolate Longley, I do worry he might have the beating of him.
Yeah, I think you and me both, and you and the rest of the Spurs fan base, and as well, who has to be on their A game, especially defensively, will be the left wing back Ivan Perisic.
Another player I'm worried about him getting back, because Solly March on that side is so full of energy. And the thing with Solly March, he's not the best technical player, but he's one of those players who just gives 100%. He never stops. He's that relentless during the game, and he'll won't stop running at Perisic, and that's what I'm worried about, because even when Perisic gets time to go forward, they still have Veltman on, who's going to probably play right back for them, who's going to be a more defensive player there. So they're always going to have a player back, and then you're going to have Solly March running at you constantly. So I worry about Perisic in this game as well. So tactically, it's a difficult one to manage against this Brighton team. So I think the big thing for me in this game, are we going to be able to get the wing backs forward? If we are, then we can hurt them. But if we get Penn back, I see them dominating.
Yeah, let's run through that back line with you guys one more time. It's going to be Hugo Lloris in goal, Pedro Porro right wing back, Perisic left wing back, Romero, Dyer and Longley to make up that back five. In terms of the midfield, we're going to look at Ollie Skip first up. Didn't have the best of displays in his last game. I mean, there is a slight chance that Pape Matar could get a nod in this game.
Potentially, look, if I was Stellini, I said, in the preview, I would like to have seen us go to a 3-5-2 and really try and match them up in central midfield, because they're going to have a lot of players there and it's going to be difficult to manage. If we're going, I would like to see 3, but I think he's going to go 2. Is he going to drop Skip? I don't think so. As much as Skip didn't have the best game against Everton, I still think off the ball he was pretty decent. On the ball he was lacking a bit of quality, but that's something you have to improve on. So I do expect Skip to retain his place.
And then alongside him as well, we're going to need a much better performance from him, and that is Pierre-Emile Højbjerg.
Yeah, and Brighton in the centre, they've got a good balance of, they've got Caicedo, who's full of energy, and he's also fairly good technically as well. And then they've got Gross and McAllister kind of floating around. And I'm worried about Skip and Højbjerg, especially in the second half, once the legs start to tire and they can't keep up that energy. Is it going to be too much for them to handle? Because if you give McAllister and Gross time and space on the ball, they can really hurt you. But if you're pressing and you're using a lot of energy, then you've got Caicedo who can match that energy. So how we manage that midfield situation is going to be a big question mark. And it's been a theme, against Wolves, against Everton recently. Højbjerg and Skip have started really well and then waned, and we haven't really, and then they haven't been able to keep it up. So are they at risk of that happening again? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, most likely they definitely are, and I think you're completely right. I think why not in this game go for a 5-3-2? I don't see why not, because first of all, those wing backs need more protection, and that will give them more protection. The midfield needs more protection, and that defence needs more protection. So I think if we are going to play 3-4-3, it's just asking for problems.
And I think it gets Son higher up the pitch as well, instead of dropping deep all the time. He'll be just alongside Kane.
Yeah.
That's why I think, yeah.
Moving on to the right-hand side of the attack, obviously Dejan Kulusevski, Richarlison injured, Danjuma not getting a look in, so Deki is most likely going to play there.
Yeah, well, and look, his dribbling was pretty good against Everton, but his end product wasn't the best, which is unlike Deki, who's usually got a decent end product. But again, he's going to have to work so hard because they've got Matoma currently running on Porro. You've got Estupinian overlapping, so he's going to have to help out Porro a lot. And again, it's a big question mark of whether we can get him in those positions high up the pitch with Porro supporting, or is he going to be always penned back, kind of making sure Estupinian and Mitoma aren't getting runs at our back three. So it's going to be a fine balancing act. But if he can get in the final third on the ball, he can hurt this Brighton team, because defensively they can be got at.
And alongside him up front, we're going to be looking at Harry Kane, and obviously he's going to be the big danger man tomorrow.
Yeah, and De Zerbi described him before the game as the best striker in the Premier League, so high praise from the Brighton manager. And
he's only getting in his good books. He knows he's going to be managing him soon.
Yeah, maybe. Look, he's obviously, we know Kane, if he's shackled, that's a big part of our game, taken out, and obviously there's going to be extra focus on him. I'm sure they're going to press him, and a big part of whether we get a result is whether he can shake off those defenders, or whether he's going to be well shackled and given no time on the ball.
And then to make up that final 11 is going to be Heung-min Son. I mean, if Richarlison was fit, there would have been a big case to start him, but he's not. So it looks as though Sonny will start. But, I mean, there's a big case for Danjuma, isn't there?
Yeah, there's Danjuma there. And especially in this formation, just Son can't manage it at the moment. If we did go to a 3-5-2, I would say you have to play Son in that kind of formation because I think he's the one who gives you that threat in behind.
Well, Dan Juma can bring that as well, can't he?
Yeah, but he's more ball to feet. Again, he likes to run at people. Son likes the ball over the top while running off people. So if it was two up front, I would stick with Son. In this game, I would consider Dan Juma because he hasn't had any minutes. He's probably desperate to prove himself, and I feel bad for him that he hasn't got a look in. And even under Stellini, he said, it's a clean slate, and yet he's still bringing on Lucas ahead of him. But if we don't see him this game with Lucas out, we never will. But in terms of Son, he is again. I think he's going to have his work cut out because on that side, if he was on the right side, I would argue maybe he could find some space because Estepinian is going to be forward a lot. But on the right side, you've got Veltman there who likes to kind of stick in that position and stay on the right defensively. And so he's going to still find space very hard to come by, I feel, Sonny. And if he's again dropping deep, I see more frustration. And again, Perisic doesn't seem to be able to link with him. So I hope Sonny can find a way to get out this Brighton defence, but I predict more frustrations for him.
Yeah, well, let's get into that lineup one more time for you guys. So it's Hugo Lloris in goal, a back five of Porro wing back, Perisic left wing back, Longley, Dyer and Romero in the central positions, Skip and Højbjerg as double pivot, and Son and Kulusevski supporting Harry Kane. I said in my previews it's going to be 2-2. I mean, that's the positive me thinking as well. Like 2-2, I think is the max that we can probably get out of this game. The way Brighton are playing, the way we are playing, but we are at home. We do have fairly good home form, so maybe we can pull off a surprise in this game. And it's just crazy to me that we've got Brighton coming out to Tottenham. We're thinking, oh yeah, maybe we can spring on a surprise and get a result, but this is the way we are. This is where we're at the moment, and it's sad days, but let's hope we can nick something tomorrow.
Look, we can hope. I just look at the game tactically, this game, and I'm looking all over the pitch. I just don't see anywhere where we're going to have the advantage. If we press them, I think that's exactly what Brighton want. They play through you. If we're going to be held back, if we're going to kind of park the bus, I see us being penned back too much, and I see Porro and Perisic not being able to get forward in the right spaces. I see Son getting shackled by Veltman, then you look at the midfield, and I see us getting overrun by Gross, Caicedo and McAllister, and Skip and Højbjerg not being able to cope. So I'm looking for an advantage.
This season.
We did. It was one of Zerbi's first games, and we did play a 3-5-2 in that game. So if we play a 3-5-2, I do see us having more joy. But in this formation right now, how we're playing, I'm looking for tactically where we're going to have the upper hand. I just don't see it anywhere really. So maybe they'll surprise us, but I'm going for a 3-1 defeat, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're going to need to be at our literal counter-attacking best if we're going to win this.
And
game.
we're going to have to hope that they're not able to create chances, which is, given how our defence is playing, is a big ask. But I hope I'm wrong, but I can't see anything but a defeat.
What are you going for?
3-1.
3-1. So Sim's going 3-1. I'm going 2-2. Both thinking 4 goals. So not really along the history books because the last 3 out of the last 5 games between these two clubs have all been 1-0. But we'll see how it goes. I'm going to be in the stadium grabbing all the action for you inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium tomorrow. Sim will be here on the watch along with Marlon. So come and watch along with Sim and Marlon. We'll see you all tomorrow.
More ranting coming, I think.
Exactly. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.